First and foremost, I'd like to welcome Mr. Diaz to the LACC Podcast. Go ahead and say hello.
Hello.
All right. And then the next thing we're going to do is a word from our sponsor, which is the LACCC. Well, the LACC. Since 1969, the Livingston Area Career Center has been dedicated to providing a quality technical educational experience, developing skills for lifelong learning, and assisting career decision-making in a safe and secure environment. Our environment is both unique and exciting for students who are getting ready to move on to college or enter the workforce. And the courses are taught by instructors who are experts in their field. We offer a wide variety of programs, college credits, professional certifications that provide students with opportunities that reach far beyond high school. If you are interested in attending a class at the LACC today and are a high school junior or senior from Dwight, Flanagan, Prairie Central, Pontiac, Tri-Point, I believe is what it's called. Okay. Or Woodland Schools, please talk to your guidance counselor today. And now we're going to start off with the questions. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm Mr. Diaz. My first name is Ben. Any event, yeah, I am two jobs right now. I work here at the LACC. I'm the digital media graphics instructor. I am also, I would guess, the head of production. There's four of us that work at the sign shop. I work at Diaz Sign Art here in Pontiac as a sign painter and artist and that kind of stuff. I'm also currently vice president of Vermilion Players, which is the local theater group. So I've got a lot of hats, but yeah, those are the main ones right now. So,
All right. So second question is, how did you or your dad get into the design like the whole design working business, or how did you like just basically get into like the workforce of like design or like the business in the first place?
so I grew up into it. So the sign shop started when I was just like a baby. I'm like 6 months older than the sign shop. So the sign shop was originally, or the business, I shouldn't say sign shop because it didn't start as a sign shop. The business started out as a painting and decorating business. And Dad would actually paint people's living rooms and their houses and stuff like that. And the guy that was the current sign painter in town, the guy that would do all the painting of signs, he actually quit or retired or moved away or something like that. And when that happened, that left an opening, that left a space for a sign painter. And people started saying, hey, they came to my dad and they were like, hey, we know that you are capable of using paint. So would you like to start doing sign stuff? And Dad has a fine art degree from Penn State. He has a master's in fine art. I think it's actually in like color theory from Penn State. So he had the training. He knew what he was doing. He just didn't ever, I think, initially the plan wasn't to be the sign guy. But he kind of fell into it, and that's been kind of a lot of all of our lives have been just, this teaching job was something that I kind of fell into too. So, but it's been great, and we've been super duper lucky as a family to just have that in our lives. So
That's fairly interesting about what you just said right there. How long did it take for you to like market yourself out there, like really get yourself out there to work with like other businesses?
For the sign shop, so the sign shop started before computers. Everything was hand lettered, and it sort of built slowly. We've built clientele over the time. As far as me, personally, like I said, I grew up in the sign shop, so it was always a part of my life. But I did after. So I went to college, and then during college, September 11th happened, and our whole family, or I shouldn't say it, I had to go and be a part of the Army because I was National Guard at the time, and went to Germany. And when I came back, I decided not to continue on with college. I was going to Northern Illinois at the time. I decided not to continue on and decided to go straight into the sign and design industry. And initially, instead of going straight to Diaz Sign Art and becoming a part of the family business, I went to Prairie Signs in Bloomington. We moved to Bloomington Normal. And I worked for the sign shop there for, I think, 6 years. And, did signs for them. It was a totally different type of business than we have here in town. They did a lot of, the thing that we do the most of, I was still doing there, but their bread and butter, their thing that they do the most of is big, huge signs like on the side of the highway and billboards and all those things. We did a lot of work in Peoria and Champaign and Bloomington Normal. And it was interesting getting to see that side of the business because we don't here in town have that side of the business. They have electricians working for them. We don't. They had bucket trucks and lifts and stuff like that, and we don't have any of that stuff. So it was interesting to get to see all of that stuff and how it played out. But ultimately, I just ended up back here in town and doing the sign shop here.
Okay. Was there anything else that you dreamt of doing as a kid other than sign arts, or has sign arts been your main attention?
No, it's weird. So when I was a kid, there was several things that I wanted to do. Art, just in general, because it wasn't really sign art at the time. It was just art. I love to draw and paint and do all those things. So those were always things I wanted to do. I always really liked writing, like books and stories and stuff like that, and actually really liked being in plays. I was in kids theater when I was a kid, and those things have kind of spun off into my involvement with Vermilion Players. And actually, I did write a play, a musical, that was performed at Vermilion Players actually right before the pandemic. It was called the Vermilion Epic, which was cool. So I've gotten to do all the things I wanted to do when I was a kid, acting and singing and writing and art and all of those things, and even teaching to a certain degree. I didn't really want to do that when I was a little kid, but when I was in high school, that was something that interested me quite a bit. And I've been super duper lucky in my life to have gotten to do all of those things, which is really cool because I don't know that everyone does. I mean, I think everyone can, but I don't know that everyone does, if that makes sense. So yeah, I've been really, really lucky.
All right. For the fifth question here, what's it like doing business work with people in general, you've known the people, you've seen them before, what's it like doing business with people
I don't know. It's one thing I like about working at the sign shop and at the school too, is that you do get to kind of know people and you see people outside of work too, especially in a small town like this. And it's kind of nice because you make friends, and it keeps you kind of interested in your community and what's going on. I've had some really good clients, and we've had some like really good people that we've done work for and that we've done work with, um, that I probably wouldn't have gotten to meet otherwise had it not been for the sign shop and the school and all the different things that I've gotten to do in my life. So I'm actually, like I said, I'm really blessed to be where I am and be doing the things that I'm doing, and very, very lucky. So yeah.
Is it sometimes weird to see like some people that you know from like outside of work come in and like do business with them, or is it like
It can be weird sometimes. So the times it's weird are when you're like celebrating things. Like running into a client when you're at a wedding, and you're doing the chicken dance at a wedding, and then this is a guy that is supposed to take you seriously afterwards. And I don't want to not do the chicken dance at a wedding. That's why you go to a wedding. You know what I mean? So that can be weird sometimes, but for the most part, and people understand that. If I saw someone that was a vendor that I did work with and they were doing the chicken dance at the wedding, I'd be like, they're at a wedding. They're having fun. Like, let's not take them serious.
Yeah.
It's good that you get to see people. You see people doing. When you're working, you see them as professionals, and you see them in their professional setting, and you see them in that world all the time. And sometimes it's nice seeing people outside that professional setting, but sometimes it's also weird. And times of celebration and times of sadness can both be kind of weird. You might see someone on a day where they've just lost someone earlier in that day, and they're sad, and you just don't know how to react to that. But everyone's a person, so you just got to remember that. And like, the people go through, regardless of how you've met that person or what kind of career they're in or whatever. Everyone goes through ups and everyone goes through downs, and sometimes we're silly and sometimes we're sad. And it's just like, I try to keep remembering that sometimes when you see someone. So like if you see a client out at McDonald's, for instance, and their kid is climbing on the Happy Meal thing, and they're like screaming at their kid, because if my kid was at McDonald's climbing the Happy Meal thing, I'd be screaming at him too. I try not to judge people. Because I've been there, I've carried my kid screaming out of Walmart before. So if I see someone else carry their kid screaming out of Walmart, I don't give them a hard time about it, because we've all been there. So I guess that answered. Did that answer it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So for the sixth question, this one's from like the viewers slash.
Yeah, the viewer question. I like that we're doing the viewer question. I think it's cool.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Are you gonna say who presented the question, or are you just gonna ask the question?
All right. So during this year,
Okay.
did the expectations like change for the class? What expectations for the class do you have in the future? And is there anything like more the class is doing like new next year that's up and coming?
That was Abby's question, right?
Yeah. That question was from Abby,
Yeah.
a former student.
Yeah. I'm glad. I still see Abby sometimes at Wally's. I haven't seen her in a bit, but I like Abby. She's awesome. Yeah, so the expectations, I was hoping that we'd get more views on YouTube than we did last year. Last year we were at 2,000, and we're at the end, almost the end of the year, and we're real close to 6,000.
Yeah, we almost doubled.
Which, yeah, we almost tripled, which is great. We did double. And honestly, 2,000 was after 2 years. So in 2 years' time, we got 2,000 views, and in the third year, we got an extra almost 4,000 views, which is awesome. That was something, but every year I try to expand the class and add some new stuff to it to keep it interesting. we added the podcast stuff this year. So this is
Yeah.
brand new. We'll continue this on into the class next year. I feel like we met a lot of our expectations. I think the one thing I want to do next year, I want to change some of how we do the jobs in class and how sometimes people tend to get distracted and off task. I want to try to create some new tasks that people can be doing so that doesn't happen as often, and expand on doing stuff like this, the podcast. I'd like to do more tours of places and get out more. And I say that every year, and every year like stuff comes up and we're not able to do it. This year we only got to go out of class twice. I mean, out of school, out of class.
Yeah.
We went.
One was to like the sign shop, wasn't it? And then the other time was like just like to the.
Yeah, so we did sign shop the first trip, and then downtown to take pictures of stuff was the second trip right around the holidays. So yeah, it'd be cool to do more of that. I don't know. What was the question? Where did we meet the expectations of the year? Yeah, I think we did pretty good meeting the expectations I had for the year. Next year we're adding dual credit, so that'll be really kind of interesting, and that's figuring that out and figuring out how to work with Heartland on that. On my end is something that I'm not familiar with. And so I'm struggling with it a little bit just because of that unfamiliarity that I have with their system and all that other stuff. I'll figure it out. It'll be fine. It'll be great. But it's so far proven a little bit challenging, which is, it's all right. It's good to be challenged sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Switch it up a little bit.
Yeah. Are we at the seventh question?
That was the sixth question. We're just not getting on to seven, but I got a question to ask in between.
Okay.
But is there like any newer expectations, like higher expectations for next year, or is it gonna like stay the same?
Yeah. The main thing my big expectation for next year is getting the dual credit thing figured out and learning how much time that takes out of class, because we're basically like a filled up class already, and we're adding the podcast and the dual credit to it. So like something has to leave in order to make space for that. Right now, I'm hopeful that the only thing that has to leave is downtime, because we did have students that had some downtime this year, and I think if we eliminate that downtime, then we'll have more time to do the other stuff, the podcast and the dual credit. And so, yeah, that's the biggest thing I really am looking forward to next year.
Okay. Now for the seventh question.
Okay.
Now that we're finally on it.
Yes.
What would you like our listeners to know about what you're doing right now?
Like right now, we're doing the podcast.
Yeah.
And we kind of, this is the first one that we're doing. So we kind of should probably tell them a little bit more about the podcast and what it looks like. So we have a format for this thing, as you guys might have kind of been noticing. So we've got 7 questions that we're labeling as the LACC 7.
Yep.
So guests will come on here. They'll ask we'll ask them their 7 questions, and they'll answer them in the best of their way. We're also, as you can kind of see me, I've been working on my sock puppet here. I'll get all this sock puppet stuff out, and I've hardly used any of it. While the guests are working on or answering their questions, we're going to have them be creating the sock puppet.
Yep.
What else? What am I missing?
Well, obviously we had a word from our sponsor.
Yeah,
And definitely in the future, we're going to try to have like more sponsorships other than the LACC probably.
Yeah, it would be great to get some other sponsors, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, let's see what else.
And then also name your puppet and then have the puppet give some life advice.
Yeah, so after we're done with this question, I've got to name this little green-haired dude that I've been creating. I kind of want to crimp his hair a little bit so it looks funky. Any event, and then have him give some life advice, which will be, I'm sure, fun. Yeah, but I think part of the goal also for this podcast is at least to get some people from the community that maybe are not people that are doing cool stuff, that are maybe some things that we don't always think of or know about or whatever, and get them in there to kind of talk about what they're doing and stuff. Because, you know, there's a lot of people in this town, in this community, in this other communities that are LACC, because we kind of, I mean, we have to remember that the LACC, I know we're in Pontiac High School right now. We're like physically in the building. And this is actually, we're filming this on one of the days of finals. But this isn't a Pontiac Township High School class, it's an LACC class. And so I'd really be interested in bringing some guests on that are from some of those other communities. The ones that you mentioned in the sponsor segment at the beginning. List those off again. I want to the other high schools that are attached to, because there's 6 high schools
So
attached to LACC.
we have Dwight, Flanagan, Prairie Central, Tri-Point, or Woodland schools.
So those 6 schools are all schools that are sending students to LACC. And you think about those 6 schools, all the students that go to them, all the different communities that they're attached to, there's a lot of interesting stories out there of different people that are doing crazy stuff that I think it'd be cool to bring them in. We kind of plan on doing this once a month. Like we said, this is the very first one, so we'll see how it goes. So that means I'll probably have to do a couple during the summer, whether I'm the interviewer or whether Andy's here is able to come in and interview. That'd be cool too. So
Yeah, I just got to set like a time up and a date for it.
yeah. So yeah, that's the main thing that I'm doing like right now. Like I said, we're also getting ready for the end of the school year, so that's pretty cool too. So yeah,
Ready to get out of here.
yeah. Are you ready to get out of here?
Yeah.
Ready to get some summer fun? Gonna
Yeah,
go to the
school's
beach and do
stressing
all
me
that
out.
stuff? Yeah. School can
All
be
right.
stressful. I remember it when I was in high school. Sometimes it can be really stressful. Sometimes it can be really, really fun though too. So, all right. Am I doing?
Yep.
Okay.
You're
so
going to name your
I
puppet,
got
and then
my-
you're going to have it give some life advice now.
Okay. I gotta think of a good name for this dude. He's got green hair, and it's kind of all crazy and sticking up.
It looks kind of crazy.
Yeah, like he's some sort of mutant. Let's name him some kind of mutant name. Mutant Man Mike Offerson.
Mike Offerson? I
This
think
is
that's good.
this is Mutant Man Mike Offerson.
It's a long name.
Yes. And my life advice would be to never give up, never surrender, which I stole from Galaxy Quest, which is a movie. No, let's see. Life advice. Yeah, Mike Offerson here. You can do almost anything you want as long as you have a good planning system and have good people in your life. Surround yourself with good people, and good things will come. Mike Offerson, out. All right.
Yeah.
So that was lame, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm hoping our other guests will have better
Probably.
puppet things.